Good morning, Unity of Boulder.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I love it. Bring up the energy. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. So we are going to do a song this morning that's new for us, but actually I learned today from our teenager that the YOU group had this gentleman who led the music at their last retreat and loved this song. So I invited them to come, so we'll see if they sneak in. Usually tend to be a little late, right? So anyway, we'll go ahead and get going with this. There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. See with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go. Trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah, there is a place in this world with open arms right now. Come on. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out. Slowly feel all that surrounds you. All that you feel, all that you know, let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. When we unite. When we unite. Yeah, yeah. When we unite. Yeah, yeah. You are welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here. Welcome.
Can you all rise, please? Shake out the kinks. Turn to your person next to you and say, good morning, my name is this. We are in a unity community. Right. Now that you're seated, will you please turn the sound off of your cell phone? You can leave your cell phones on. You may want to photograph some of the PowerPoints that will show up here, but please turn off the sound in your cell phone and become present for this beautiful talk that Shad is going to give in a couple of minutes. I want to welcome all of our Spanish-speaking friends that are joining us in this service, and also those of you that are seeing this on live stream. We welcome you in to share your energy with us. Long distance, great. Love having you here. Is there anybody here from another Unity church anywhere? Oh, look at this. We got a number of people over there. Keep your hand up. We have a gift for you. Yeah, we have a gift for you. Hey, gals, can you see their hands? Their hands are up down here. Come on down. Leave your hand up in the air. Come on, you want to get this gift. It's a new Lexus. Right over there, this lady over here. What Unity are you from? Living Water, Nevada. Okay, good. That's David Ridge. Yes, we spawned him. It's okay. All right. Okay. What Unity are you from? Las Vegas. So you were in Shad's old, yeah. So he's going to be speaking today. You can't wait. All right. Well, it's great. Nice to have you here. And okay. Who else was in from another Unity over there? What? Seattle. Beautiful Seattle Unity. I was in the Army up in Seattle. In the Army up there, yes. So, but no, this is way before Unity. And the Army wasn't anything like Unity. Okay, well, what minister is up there now? Karen, okay, well, great. Give her my regards when you see her. Fantastic, we love having you all here. Okay, I'd like to start today with a lawyer joke. You ready? The devil walks into this legal office and confronts this lawyer and says to him, if you give me your soul and the souls of everyone in your family, I'll make you a full partner by tomorrow of this firm. And the lawyer looks at him for a long time, a long minute, and then says, so what's the catch? All right, let's do it.
Thank you, Jack. He keeps us laughing, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
All right, we're going to bring it down a little bit and get ready for prayer shortly. But if you'd like to stand and sing this with, actually you can stay seated for this part, and then I'll ask you to stand after the prayer to sing it along with us, okay? Are we ready, everyone?
Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we only want to hear your voice. We're hanging on every word. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we want to know you more and more. We're hanging on every word. 'Cause when you speak and when you move, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see and what we sing. When you come in the room, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see and what we see. It changes everything.
Welcome to Unity. Will you join me in an opening prayer, please? Spirit of this loving God, we know we hear your voice through the feelings in our heart, through the whispers in our dreams, through the urgings of what it is that we've been called to be and do in this powerful lifetime. Spirit, we're open and receptive to be connected and divinely directed, as to bring healing to the areas of our lives that are no longer serving us, and opening up to all the good of this universe that is just calling our names, so that we can hear it loud enough so we may move forward into that next level of consciousness or onto the new path that will bring greater happiness, joy, and healing and love. Spirit, we give thanks for everything we have, and we have no complaints whatsoever. We want to recognize all the volunteers today, Chrissy Woods and Bo and Michelle and Sandy and all of those ushers and everyone who serves in the kitchen, that their light is taking care of this place while we all sit here and enjoy this incredible message today. We want to recognize our prayer partners and have them stand up at this time. If you're facing a challenge today, you can just stay seated in your seat at the end of the service, and they will come and find you and take you to our powerful meditation room and pray with you. They will also be holding space of prayer for you anyways throughout the entire service. They are the prayer victors. They're here to hold that holy prayer to make this room the holiest space in the universe at this moment. Spirit, we give thanks for everything that we have. Amen.
If you would stand with us and sing along.
Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, we're leaning into all you are. Everything else can wait. Spirit of the living God, Spirit of the living God, come now and breathe upon our hearts. Everything else can wait. When you speak and when you move, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see, what we seek. When you come in the room, when you do what only you can do, it changes us, it changes what we see, what we see. Changes everything. When you move all our fears. When you move us to tears. When you move all our fears. When you move, hanging on every word.
You all sound so beautiful. Thank you.
That is good stuff. That's my jam. That's the kind of stuff I want to be doing on the Saturday service when that comes up at the end of August. A lot more of us really getting into singing and moving and grooving. Let me just clean up some cables on the stage here for you real quick. All right. Well, there you are. How are you all doing today? I was so into myself just then, and just having a conversation by myself. I want to recognize you. I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you for coming. And you love me too. All right. Let's get going with our opening words of wisdom from cartoonist Dave Sims, who said, if you really want to do it, nothing and no one is going to stop you. If you don't really want to do it, nothing and no one is going to help you. Ouch. There's a reality check. All right, well, we're going to get into this today. For those of you that may not know, before coming here, I was a minister at Unity of Las Vegas for several years. And last Sunday, Aaron and myself were not here because we went back to Unity of Las Vegas to do our thing. Now, the reason I bring this up is because when I finished giving the talk at Unity of Las Vegas, Aaron came up to me and said, that was interesting. You don't give talks like that in Boulder. But it wasn't the topic that Erna was referring to. It was my delivery style that she was referring to. And I knew she was right because I felt a lot more comfortable writing and giving that talk than I normally do when I do it here, or when I speak here, or prepare a talk for here. And I think that is because I'm very familiar with the congregation in Las Vegas. I know what they can handle, and I know that they know that no matter what I say up here, that I have my best interest to try to help them grow at heart, that I'm only saying things that are trying to help them grow. But when I write a talk for us here in Boulder, I have to be much more careful about trying not to bother people too much. Because for some reason in Boulder, we seem to be a bit more sensitive about being called out on our stuff. Do you think that might be true? Some of you are laughing. Some of you are already like, wait, is he going to call me out on my stuff today? I'm out of here. Get the purse. Let's go. Get downstairs. Get the kids. We got to get out of here. And it was interesting that Aaron's observation was also confirmed by a couple of the volunteers at Unity of Las Vegas that came up to me in the fellowship area after the service, and they said, you know, we really miss your speaking style here. We really miss how you called us out on our stuff, and that you held us accountable, and that you pushed us to go into our uncomfortable zone to grow, and that we really were challenged each Sunday to keep going further each week, and that they missed that. But in all fairness, while I was the minister at Unity of Las Vegas, we struggled with attendance, and we did struggle with income quite often. So I will accept that it was perhaps partly due to the fact that I did have such a forward speaking style at that church. I had a very direct form of teaching, the way I taught things. And in general, people don't like being called out on their stuff. They don't like it. And I think even more so in the last few decades, we have become less tolerant of hearing what we don't want to hear. As a matter of fact, I know personally that Reverend Jack's speaking style used to be far more what I would call in your face than it is today. Has anyone else recognized that? Some people in the front row, people been around a while? Yeah. He doesn't allow it to be as in your face today as he once did. And see, he'll get in my face, but for you guys.
As you grow, you learn to get more in your own face.
Okay.
And not in other people's.
See, he had to do that because he's learned he has to always give you an out. Because if he bothers you too much, there'll be unrest. So I appreciate you gave them an out. Anyway. Anyway, the point being that all of us ministers have recognized, anywhere I speak, any ministers I talk to, that over time, having a direct approach doesn't go over so well anymore. We kind of have to just dance around issues. We can't really hit them straight on. So all of us, even here on the ministry team at Unity of Boulder, have had to tone things back and be more mindful of that. And this whole situation got me thinking this week, what is going on? Why are we getting softer? And why are we so soft and sensitive about this stuff? When it comes to hearing what we don't want to hear, but that we likely very much need to hear. And as I sat writing my talk this week, here is what came to me. We don't really have the desire to grow. If you compiled most of the feedback that ministers receive, you would find that for many people, they are basically looking to just have their current belief system vindicated. You've probably recognized that in your conversations with other people you speak to. Most people are seeking to just have their current belief system vindicated. We as humans don't usually come to talks and classes to be challenged, to pushed, to grow. We say we do, but if that class really goes to that place, we might back out or leave or just ignore it altogether. And many of us are just showing up to further empower what we think is already right and true about life. And I think I can prove this to you with 2 questions. You ready? This would be amazing if I could do that. Here we go. If you're a Republican, do you go to Democratic rallies? If you're a Democrat, do you go to Republican rallies? No, you do not.
Spend time with people you don't agree with.
Here, take this mic, and you're going to finish the talk. So we tend to go to things that we know are already in alignment with our current belief system. Pro-choice and pro-life people do not attend each other's rallies or informational seminars or read each other's leaflets or whatever it might be. By and large, we have a belief, and our goal is to further empower that belief, to give us more talking points to argue against the people of the other belief. And trust me, I am included in this. I include myself in this. I'm not saying I am above this. I am in this with you. And I am open-minded and ready to grow, but there are still some areas of my life that I am a stick in the mud. It's very hard for me to bend my mind further enough to break to get to that other side that I'm working on and recognizing in myself. But here is what we are facing. Here's a problem. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. We inherently don't like being challenged, which means we stay the same. We like being comfortable and staying comfortable, and so we protect our current beliefs in a cage of avoidance. We avoid the things that are not in alignment with our current beliefs so we can protect those current beliefs. But if we want to change for the better, we'll have to really want to change for the better, but I believe want falls short, and that is why we don't actually change for the better. From what I've experienced, change requires ganas. Does anyone here remember the movie Stand and Deliver? Raise your hand if you remember that movie. Okay, more than I thought would remember that movie. It is the true story of math teacher Jaime Escalante, played by Edward James Olmos in the movie, if you remember that. This teacher is trying to teach math to inner-city youth that seemingly already have a future of failure laid out for them. There's no chance for success. But he's the type of teacher that won't accept that concept in his classroom. And this is what he says. You're going to work harder here than you've ever worked anywhere else, and the only thing I ask from you is ganas, which means desire. Wanting to do and be better is not enough. If we have a want for something, we may not show up tomorrow if today was really uncomfortable. Or if we didn't like today, if we just wanted it, we're not going to show up tomorrow. It requires ganas, a deep desire for growth, to show up again tomorrow when we didn't like how uncomfortable we felt today. Does that make sense? It's going to take something more than want. You see, comfort can be a silent killer. Our striving to always be more and more comfortable in life is destroying us mentally, physically, and culturally. We don't want to be bothered because that challenges our comfort. And that is a very dangerous place for us to be, because comfort is the end of growth. Does that make sense? When you're comfortable, you stop growing. And there's an old adage about what a minister's actual job is, and this is what it says: to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. There are those who are in a place of pain, they are suffering, and that is a time when they need to be comforted, to be uplifted and empowered. And then there are those who think they get it, they have it all figured out, and they are in a place when it's time to be made uncomfortable and pushed once again. So let's switch gears a bit. Believe it or not, when I travel, like many of you, people ask what I do for a living. Has anyone else ever run into that situation? Just trying to create some relation here so we're not so separate. And so obviously I tell them that I'm a male stripper, just to see where the conversation goes. Only once in a while. Only once in a while. Usually they eventually find out I am a minister. And recently I've had two very interesting interactions with other clergy of all people. One was a young pastor who was planting a new church here in Colorado that I run into. And he was coming to Colorado specifically to fight the sin of legalized marijuana. When that went through, he got his calling that he had to come to Colorado to fight this action, this movement that was happening here. And when he heard I was ministering in Boulder, of all places, he had pity on me. He went on to inform me that Boulder is basically the epicenter of sin. And I thought that was hell, so I learned a lot in that conversation. But even more recently, I ran into a young priest, and I was facilitating a wedding in Michigan for a friend of mine, and the priest was a part of that wedding party, a very young man. And he was ministering, or he had his parish in Detroit, Michigan. And we were talking about his work in Detroit, and it came around to the fact, he said, well, where is your ministry? Where do you minister? And I told him in Boulder, Colorado, and he had something very interesting to say. He said, people in Boulder are too affluent to ever truly seek to find God. They are too busy hiking, kayaking, and entertaining themselves. That's a pretty strong perspective. And I was a bit taken back by what he said. And not necessarily by the words he said, but by his delivery. It was so matter of fact, and it was so straightforward. There was no tone of judgment. There was no tone of him trying to aggravate. It was simply, this is the way it is. This is what you will face in Boulder. And funny enough, he also pitied me, being a minister in Boulder. He said I had a very long and difficult hill to climb here in Boulder, trying to turn people around. Now, I didn't necessarily agree with his perspective entirely, but there is some profound truth in what he is saying. We can get comfortable in our lifestyle, and we can get so comfortable that we lose that ganas for God. We lose that desire for God. Our things, our play, that becomes our God. Our money becomes our God. Our stuff becomes our God. And we'll say we believe in God, but when you look at what is the priority in our life, clearly it is not God. And so that, I feel, is the undertone of what he was truly talking about. And he actually came from a Franciscan parish, so you can understand where his mindset is. It's all about living simply, living on as little as you possibly can. So I want to give a real-world example of what I'm talking about here. Recently, I was speaking with someone who said, there is this Buddhist technique that takes several decades to master. This is what they're telling me. Presumably, this technique leads to enlightenment. That would be the point of it. But when someone finally masters this technique, likely in their old age because it's taken so long, the teacher then tells them that there's a different technique they're going to have to learn that actually brings them to enlightenment. Now, the person who was telling me all of this said, and I have decided to only study the final technique so I don't waste time with the other one. And I posed a follow-up question. Don't you think that perhaps there is a reason that students are taught the first technique for so long before they are introduced to the final technique? I'm not going to share you the response. It led into a conversation. But to want to skip the difficult parts towards growth is just that. It is a want. It is a very fleeting power. It comes and goes. When things get difficult, we bail. We drop out because it's just a want. It takes a true, deep desire to push through the difficult parts of growth to actually experience the benefits of growth. It requires that ganas that they're talking about in that movie. So let's look at this from the book of Matthew. Now, I want to set the scene. Jesus has just finished speaking to the multitudes, and they've dispersed and gone about their way. And he is headed up a hill to pray, just to sort of recenter himself after the experience. The disciples now are out at sea, floating about in their boat, doing what they do. And this is where we pick up. When evening came, he, Jesus, was there alone. But by this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from the land, for the wind was against them. Now imagine the boat as the comfort for the disciples. They are comfortable in this boat. This is the everything, I got everything just how I like it, right? The water's still, everything is just how we like it. They're in that mindset. But now, life has come along and is knocking them about. Things are now getting uncomfortable, so they're hunkering down in their boat for safety. An unavoidable discomfort has come into their lives, and they now are forced to face it. It is rocking their boat, and it is unsettling, and now fear is starting to rise into their mindset, into their consciousness. And this goes on all night for them. And early in the morning, he, Christ, came walking toward them on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost," and they cried out in fear. Christ is the spiritual messenger. It is the spiritual message. Christ is standing amongst the seeming turmoil of life, this crazy, disruptive sea, completely unimpeded by the chaos in the sea, completely still amongst the chaos, unaffected by it. But the disciples, from the comfort of their boat, looking out at the seeming chaos, they're seeing a scary world about them. Their minds are riddled with fear, and they're trying to separate themselves from the danger of out there. Do you see where this is going? They're trying to set themselves from the turmoil of the experience, and they cannot see Christ for what it is because fear has come into their mind. So now they see Christ, the Christ message, as a threat, as a ghost, as something scary coming into their lives. And this is where we go on. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water, and came toward Jesus. The voice of a higher awareness is calling us out of our comfort to step into the unknown and seemingly terrifying, to face our illusion, to face our own ignorant perception, our fear, and our judgmental separation that keeps us from connecting with the rest of the people in our lives, connecting with all the experiences we might be having because we're so locked into our comfort zone. It's calling us to step out of that, to expand out of that, to grow out of that, so that we can stand calm and unaffected by what we once saw as terrifying and dangerous. So this is where we go on. But when he, Peter, noticed the strong wind, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Of course, it only takes a little difficulty for a mind whose foundation is in fear to become afraid once again. The more comfortable we become, the easier it is for us to become uncomfortable by even the smallest things, right? The more comfortable we become, even the smallest little agitation starts to drive us crazy because we're so comfortable. You see, Peter wanted to walk on water like he saw Jesus doing, but his want was shallow and the water was deep. And Jesus could only walk on stormy water because he had attained the Christ consciousness that rises above the seeming fear and terror surrounding the idea of walking on water. He had done the work, he had done the practice and the process that elevated his consciousness above the concept of believing, I cannot walk on water. He had done that. And Jesus could only walk on stormy water because he was fully awakened in that Christ awareness. Peter wanted to walk on water, but lacked the true ganas to do the work required to actually attain the Christ consciousness required to walk on water. There was a lot more process there. You can't skip those decades of the initial process and cut to the end. There was a process Jesus went to so he could do that. But Peter was looking to skip ahead in line. Jump to the part where he works miracles without going through the journey of first awakening his own Christ awareness. What had Jack said? After time you realize you have to work on yourself, that it is you that must be going through the struggle. And this is what happens next in the story. When they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. Then Jesus thought, I just boarded a boat of morons. I may have taken some artistic license there in the last part, because it shows how ignorant the disciples are. After having watched this whole event unfold, that is the conclusion they come to. The lesson was not about Jesus, the only Son of God, and this amazing act he had just performed, that they should all of a sudden revere him for what he just showed them that he could do. Peter was able to walk on the water on his own. And as long as he had faith, he could also do it just fine. But when he lost faith, when that fear crept into his consciousness, he was his own undoing. Right? This all unfolded right out in front of them for them to see. You have the power to do this, to achieve this incredible miracle, you alone, and you also have the power to undermine yourself in this process. And at the end of that, they go, wow, Jesus, that was awesome. Completely missing the point. Each and every one of us has this Christ potential, and if we're not living up to it, it is our own doing. There's no one else to blame. The opening quote said, if you don't want it enough, you don't desire it enough, no one's going to help you get there. It's going to have to be you. And guess what? When we go out on a limb to do these things, to step out on that water for the umpteenth time, it doesn't always work out the first time. It doesn't always work out the 101st time. It takes time and time again to learn how to steadfastly stand in a storm, in amongst of a stormy sea, and still have peace. It takes time and time again. Peter didn't pull that off out on the first step going on the water. Maybe 3,000 times later he might have pulled it off. He had done the process. He had done the work. He had figured it out. But wanting it is not enough. You have to have the ganas. You have to have that inner desire to fuel your willpower, your power of will to push you through those difficult times, those challenges that we normally bail on, and that's when we said, I've had enough. We have to be willing to wake up every morning and say, I'm going to push forward again and again, regardless of what happened yesterday. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to pray, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do my yoga, I'm going to do my practice, regardless of whether I think I'm getting results or not. That is what is required of me. Now, I want to finish with something I saw on the TV show Queer Eye. Does anybody watch the TV show Queer Eye? All of 4 people. Okay, good. Well, you have a new avenue of shows you can go watch. I pretty much only will watch a show if it makes me feel good. I'm only going to watch a show if it makes me feel good. I'm only going to watch a movie if it makes me feel good. I don't understand the purpose of sitting through something that leaves you feeling like garbage. I can't wrap my head around that. If I didn't laugh or have my heart warmed, why am I going through this? That makes no sense to me. So ponder that thought for a little bit. Okay. So I was watching Queer Eye, a show that always makes my heart warm, it always makes me laugh and have a good time. So here we are. This is the cast of the show. In the middle is this young gentleman in a wheelchair, and these characters around him come and they always do sort of a life makeover. Physically, the house, their mental status, everything gets maked over in the process. So we have this young man in the middle was a subject of this process. He was shot several times in the stomach, which left him paralyzed from the waist down. And you could say at that time he was living the life of a thug when it happened. But as it turned out, it turned his life completely around. He went through an incredibly painful rehabilitation process over years and years and years. And he's now a beautifully joyous person. That smile never came off his face from everything he went through after he had healed. And he's now the head of an incredible charity where he does great work for other handicapped people. But there's still a part of him holding on to the tragedy of that incident when it happened. And still holding on to the man who shot him on that day, and the man who served 6 years in prison for doing that. Now, the team of Queer Eye saw what was going on internally in this young man, and so they set up an opportunity for the two of them to meet, who had not seen each other since that day when he was shot. And it started out incredibly uncomfortable and awkward for the two of them. You could feel it watching them sit in this room, how uncomfortable and awkward it was for them. But you could tell that the young man in the wheelchair, he had a true and deep desire for healing. He didn't just show up and say, I'll see how this goes. He had a desire to be done with this, to heal it, not just for himself, but for all people involved. So there was some small talk between them, talking about some of this stuff. And then finally the young man asked him and said, why did you shoot me? Why did you shoot me? And come to find out, the shooter had been told that this young man also had a gun and was about to shoot a friend or relative of his. Ultimately, the true shooter was trying to protect this friend of his. It was in protection that he shot this young man, which this young man never knew. And here is what is awesome about this scenario. This young man was left paralyzed for the rest of his life after this incident. He was not only able to forgive the man who shot him, but he went much further than that. He said, I understand. This is so powerful. He said, I understand. I would have done the same thing had I been in your situation. And when he said this, you watch the face and the body language of the man who shot him just release. You could see the tension he had been holding for years just pour out of his body. He was not only able to forgive him, he went a step further than that because he wanted to go to true healing. Forgiveness is so many times just a surface thing we do to get out of a situation. But this man in a wheelchair was seeking true healing. He said, I understand, and I would have likely done the same thing in your situation. The shooter replies, I would have never imagined that you could understand my point of view. It's so beautiful to watch that take place. I could never have imagined that you could understand my point of view. He had received forgiveness from this young man, but understanding and relating to his perspective was far, far more powerful and impactful. Right? Because forgiveness is a high horse thing. It's I'm up here absolving you for the wrong you did. He stepped off the horse and said, we're all human. We make mistakes. Had I been given the same exact tools you'd been given in life, I probably would have done the same thing. Do you see how that just rips down the barriers between them? And now healing can take place because they've become real and humble in front of each other. No one's playing superiority over nobody else. They've both pushed through that rawness and that awkwardness and that uncomfortableness to push through the other side of humility, to sit there and say, brother, I am just like you. And what you did, I probably would have done the same thing. Real healing and growth requires much more of us than just want. I believe it requires ganas. And that is the truth as I experience it. Thank you. I think we have some time for our meditation, so why don't we just get ourselves into a quiet place. If you're not used to the term meditation, this is just simply a time for internal reflection. So I invite you, if you're comfortable, just to close your eyes so you can shut out the distractions of the visual world. Bring your attention to your breath so you can go into the ever-expanding trueness and realness of the internal world. I know there are things I want in life, but what is it that I truly, truly desire? If I truly desire peace of mind, have I applied that desire to creating that result? If I truly, truly desire healing in my relationships, have I directed this desire into creating that result? If I truly, truly desire seeing the world in a different light, have I shifted my power and invested in directions that'll actually create that result? If I stop to look at my life today, is there a wake-up call needed about what I have been desiring and what I have been wanting? If I truly, truly desire to connect with God, to connect with the divine, does my life reflect that desire? What areas might I have to get a little bit uncomfortable to start writing the direction of the course I've been taking? How could I shift my perception of what is comfortable and uncomfortable to just recognize process? If today is the first day of the rest of my life, what choices should I think about implementing this week to set myself on the direction of my truest desire? I know my wants often speak loudest and first. But when I slow down and become still like I am now, what is it that I actually desire? Knowing that I've been given the right of free choice, free will, knowing that there is truth, that I can change course at any time as needed. I hold on to that as I go forth now from this meditation and this moment in silence. I hold on to the truth that I do have the power to change direction as needed. And so it is. Amen. I do want to point out that Jack did mention something profound, that It was a realization I did come to at Unity of Las Vegas after conversations with him when I'd call home. There's nothing I can say up here that will change your life. When I get up here, all I can do is talk about the things I need to work on and hope that you relate and find some spark within you that is inspired by how much I'm inspired by what I'm working on. So that's all there is. We're going to take an offering for Unity now. And we do have many ways of giving here at Unity of Boulder. If we could have the next slide. When you do give to us, we give to several charities as well. So it's not just going to this church. We give to all these charities, including the Unity Movement, many local charities as well. And we're also considering other charities at this time to add to that. And when you give, we have many options for that. If we can go to the next slide. You can give through text. We now have text giving. So if you just text that number, you'll get a link back. And that'll allow you to sign up and then be giving by text. We have recurring donations at a recurring donation station out in the lobby where you can sign up for recurring giving. The dip jars are also out there if you want to hit those with your credit card. And of course, online, you can give there as well. So as we take our offerings into our hands, we're going to bless them with our offering statement. If you join me in saying, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive because I give.
So we are going to welcome, this is Dino Bartos, and he's going to play a song for us.
Hey everyone, I'm Dino, and I'm the guy that's way in the back that you probably never noticed before. In fact, I was in the center up in the lobby, and someone said to me, "Oh, you're one of the musicians?" I've been here for the past 3 weeks, so. It's a real honor to be playing with these musicians. I'm finally coming out in front and center, but these guys are amazing, and gals are amazing musicians, and I just feel really blessed to be up here with them and playing. And poor Jamie, I'm always looking over his shoulder and saying, "What are you doing, Jamie?" So anyway, thanks for coming out today. This is a song called Flower. It's by Amos Lee, and it's a love song. But I look at it as a deeply spiritual song also. You know, the metaphor of a flower unfolding to me is a very spiritual thing, and that's why I chose this song, so hope you like it. My heart is a flower that blooms every hour. I believe in the power of love. Well, in this lonesome meadow, it's soft as a pillow. Oh, I pray that we'll go back to love. I'm gonna reach on up over that fear. Whenever I'm alone, won't you please be near? I know the darkness before the dawn. Tomorrow's coming, and yesterday's gone. Gonna get to my baby, get upstream, fall asleep in her arms, drift away in a dream. Gonna go out walking in the morning light. Well, I know that my tomorrow's gonna be alright, be alright. Be alright. Well, I never shall wither. I know that darkness before the dawn. Tomorrow's coming and yesterday's gone. Gonna get to my baby, get upstream, fall asleep in her arms, drift away in a dream. Gonna go out walking in the morning light. I know that my tomorrow's gonna be alright, be alright. Be alright.
Reach on up. Never I'm alone.
Be alright.
Reach on up.
Hey, yeah.
Never I'm alone.
Be alright.
Reach on up.
My heart is a flower that blooms every hour. I believe in the power of love, of love.
Thank you very much for that. All right, so we're going to have recordings of this available in the bookstore if you want to grab one of those. We're also going to have fellowship next door over here to your, what is it, south? Hi. Oh.
Hello, everyone. We've got a few announcements. Coming up this Saturday, August 3rd, we have Jan Garrett and J.D. Martin putting on a workshop we've called Heart of the Vision Quest. We've had them here many times. They are wonderful people. They will be teaching you how to have a Vision Quest experience without having to camp, fast, or lug a 50-pound backpack into the woods or desert. It's $30 to register or $35 at the door. Please come register in the bookstore if you are interested. Now, out to Santisha, who's in the Weather Center.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, everyone. I wanted to invite you to a women's book group that I'm starting August 1st at Unity, and it meets the first and third Thursday of the month for 5 weeks from 6 to 8, and it starts this Thursday. We'll be following the book Broken Open by Elizabeth Lesser, and it's a $10 registration fee and $10 per meeting, and you can register in the lobby today. The goal for the women's group are finding deeper, authentic friendships, sharing in an honest and safe environment for healing and growth, finding our spiritual sisters on the path, and finding a community that gives you a true sense of belonging with no judgment. I hope to see you there this Thursday, and you don't have to be a member of Unity. It's open to all women that are spiritual and beautiful beings that want to be together. All right, now to you in the garden, Mike.
Thank you, Santisha. It's beautiful out here. Speaking of book groups, Shad is now going to be leading a men's book group starting Monday, August 26th. It runs for 4 Mondays long. It's going to be from 6:45 to 8 p.m., and we'll be meeting just down the street here at the Rayback Collective. The book we're going to be reading is called The Why Cafe. It's $10 to register. It's $12.95 for the book. I'm already signed up. You should too. Now to Santisha over in the Doppler 9 radar room.
Thank you, Mike. Starting next Sunday, we will be going back to the 9 and 11 service. There will be no longer an 8:30 service, and that will stay that way all the way through fall, winter, and into spring. The first service will still be Jack, and the second service will be either Shad or I until the weekend of the 25th, and then you'll have to look at your handout and find out how all the services are going to work starting that weekend. But next Sunday, there is a special Sunday where Jack and Norma will be out of town, and so I will be speaking at both services at 9 and 11, and I look forward to seeing you then. Back to you, Mike, out in the garden.
Thank you, Santisha. Next Sunday, all day from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Boulder is hosting the Latin X Festival down by the Boulder Creek, and Unity of Boulder will be having a booth down there to help spread our message to Spanish-speaking people. We do need people to help man the booth, so if you're interested in that, please sign up for that. We've got pass-around sheets that you could pick a time slot to fill, or you could come talk with us in the office, and if you happen to speak Spanish, that would be a massive bonus. Thank you, and those are all the announcements we have for you today. This is Mike.
And this is Santisha.
And we choose unity.
So embarrassed. Anything else you need to yell at me from up there while we're at it? Okay. Yeah, all right. So we do have fellowship over here. We have recordings over there. We're going to have a great time. So if you want to talk to the ministers, we'll be over there. You can grab us and say hi. And the information booth is out in the lobby. If you have any questions about groups and classes and things going on during the week, you can sign up there. And we're all going to jam out to our final song, so why don't you stand up and get ready to shake your hips.
And we have a special guest today. This is Michelle Roll from Las Vegas. She's at the Unity out there, and so she's going to sing a little intro to our closing song before we go.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go, let it all go. And this is what we have to say. 3, 4. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit of my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit of my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here